Today, I'm taking on the hardest rebuild challenge I've ever faced because I'm going to be trying to beat PSG to the title with a team from the 3rd division, all whilst not being able to make a single transfer. Right now, PSG are one of the best sides in world football with a fantastic squad, a brilliant manager, and the finances to buy some of the world's best. Meanwhile, I'm going to be stuck at a club which isn't allowed to sign a single player and can only rely on their youth academy, all the way down in the 3rd tier, and that club is FC Socheux, one of France's oldest, and a club that despite their 3rd division status do have some great facilities, and will be using them to try and restore the golden era when this club was able to win 2 Ligue 1 titles, but that was before the start of the Second World War. And whilst we've got PSG in our sights, this is going to be a long journey, because right now, we're not even expected to get promoted from the 3rd tier. The odds have got us stuck at 3rd place, so with us not being able to make a single transfer, we've got to hope that some of our young players rise up and prove that they're good enough to eventually become Ligue 1 talents. But currently, our best youngsters don't look great. There is Selim Pelissard, who has good potential, but is only valued at 90,000. Pierre Sanchez is a 17-year-old centre-back who has promising potential, but is slow and very, very weak. And then there's Ghanaian fullback Ayrton Patricio, who shows us having good potential, but that's only for this level, the 3rd tier. Whether these guys can go on and eventually become PSG topplers is a totally different question, but we are going to need them in our first team because it's not exactly the best squad I've ever seen. Our best player does look pretty good in Julian Masson at age 26, the central midfielder is strong, but outside of him, the rest aren't exactly blowing me away. So without being able to make any transfers, this is going to be very tough, but here's the game plan. We've currently got some of the best facilities in France for youth production, and with FC Sochaux's record of producing top talents from their academy, we'll be hoping every year we'll get better players from each youth intake and slowly build up a side that can eventually become champions of France. But it's going to be a very long journey. The only way to get started though is to simulate the first year and see which of those youngsters from our big crop rise up to actually be good enough. And our first season started slowly. In our first 6 games, we only won 1 of them, and it started to look like this wasn't going to be a fun season at all, but as time went on, our form picked up. Our most important result of the season came away against fellow promotion contenders Sienne, as youngster Patricio found a fellow youngster in Pelissard to give us the victory. Another youngster vital to our success was Pierre Sanchez, the centre-back, whose header helped us beat Concianu, another one expected to go up. But undoubtedly, our player of the season was the experienced Masson in the midfield. Clearly too good for this level, he absolutely dominated from the centre of the park, scored screamers like this in a top performance. And considering we eventually want to try and beat PSG to the league title, this was about as good of a start as we could have wanted, as our Sochaux team just about clinched the title with 68 points. 3 more points than our closest contenders with 6 losses and 5 draws. It was not a perfect season, but it's very hard to complain when we're getting off to basically the best start possible. Our best performers and some names we might have to get used to were Julian Masson, the central midfielder I mentioned, who managed to score 16 goals in 32 appearances. We also saw some great performances from Boutou Tau, who will be leaving us to join Marseille, but our best goal scorer this year was 29-year-old Corentin Jean, who in the league alone scored 16 goals and helped drag us to that top place finish. As you can see though, the 3 players I highlighted as standouts in the academy, I've asked to get as much game time as possible, and whilst they have done okay on the pitch, they haven't really developed at all. I mean, Pelissard is now 20 and not expected to even be good enough for the next level of football in Ligue 2. Pierre Sanchez, another one that has played well but hasn't really progressed in terms of his development. The only one that's really stood out so far is Patricio, who has managed to develop quite a bit. But of course, with it being the end of the season, we have had a new youth intake, and I think there are some exciting times ahead because already we've got off to a flyer. The best player from the current crop is Samir Kouki, a 16-year-old Swiss national forward who's came through in our intake, and whilst he is a bit raw, does show some ability to eventually be a good level forward if he can reach that potential. And the other one showing us having big 5-star potential is the Moroccan 15-year-old Mohamed Rarib, who is hopefully going to be the future of that right back position. But they won't be the only ones that I let into the first team, because according to our assistants, there's all of these players that you can see here who the game considers ready to be promoted to the first team squad. Some have been at the club for a while and some are new gens, but my job now is to promote them into the first team, integrate them, and see how they can get on in our second season as manager and our first season in the second tier, where I think we're going to be fighting a bit of a losing battle because the game is predicting us to be near the relegation relegation places, 50-1 odds of winning the league, but 14th place being expected. Meanwhile, the board want us to get a top half finish, so the odds are already against us, particularly when you see our transfer history, where of course we can't bring anyone in, but a few people have left, some that don't really matter, but the important one that did was Corentin Jean. He's made his way to Portuguese football to play for Maritimo for £200,000, which is good money for the club, but we lose our best goal scorer after he said that he wanted out. But we have managed to use our good standing with the board to try and improve some of the facilities. Realistically, if we want to get the best youngsters, we need to have the best facilities to develop them. And for anyone wondering how PSG did in their first year, well, they went on to absolutely cruise to the title, 18 points clear, and the dominant team that we need to challenge. Now, not only do they have great players and great managers, you might also notice they've got some pretty great kits here too, and that's because I designed them myself, and you guys can design kits like these as well with the help of FM Kit Creator. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check it out. Make sure you use it through my link so they know that you guys have came from this video, but over there you can design your own kits for any club of your choosing. You can customize every little detail of them, and it's great fun to do for any FM fan. And if you choose to purchase their Plus membership, you also get access to the bulk generator, which can generate every single kit for every club in a league of your choosing within a simple click of a button. It's a fantastic product, one I'm happy to promote here on the channel. You guys should all check it out if you haven't already. A big shout out to FM Kit Creator, but let's get back to the video. Now, of course, at the start of the season, the board wanted a top half finish. Meanwhile, the game predicted relegation, and I was there thinking that maybe we could prove everyone wrong and get promoted. But I think this season's shown me that this challenge is going to be just about as hard as I thought it might be. Because we really suffered this year. We came up against some higher caliber clubs like Saint Etienne, and teams like this were able to demolish us. The same goes for Troyes, a team that I wouldn't have expected to struggle against, but they scored 7. But it wasn't all doom and gloom, because despite the losses, there was one standout player. The 16-year-old Swiss forward that came through, Samir Kuki, proved he was already good enough to be a first teamer. Because this guy was scoring goals for fun. Yes, he was scoring penalties, but he was also finding space in the box to score headers, and even popping up with some last-minute winners, as we watched him blossom in the space of one season to a 17-year-old player already considered one of our best, and in my opinion, I mean, this kid's good enough for Ligue 1 already. Yes, he's struggling physically, but everything else looks great, and this season he managed to score 15 goals, get 3 assists and 3 Man of the Match awards, so basically a goal every other game, in what was a pretty good season for him, but not the team as a whole, as we ended up finishing in 9th place, 13 wins, 14 losses, only 1 goal difference, a middle of the pack finish, exactly what was expected of us, clear of relegation, but nowhere near challenging for any kind of promotion spot. But you can kind of forgive it, because when you look at our team, it is so young and it is stacked with players from the academy already. It's not taken long to get there, to have a back 4 of players all from the academy. Rahib, who we saw earlier alongside Patricio, the Ghanaian fullback we've been developing is playing on the left now. Pierre Sanchez is now 19 and not looking that much better yet, alongside Mustafik, a player that again has came out of our academy and kind of came from nowhere to be one of our best defenders. Pelissard is still in the midfield and actually progressing quite a lot considering how he looked before, and of course there's Kuki leading the forward line as well. And whilst I'm not going to go through every single player, the majority of bench and reserve players are also from the academy. Take this guy who got 26 appearances this year, Elson Menendez de Silva. It looks like he started his career somewhere else, but he's been in our academy since day one of this save, and I've bought him through, and he's looking like a pretty handy option to fill the squad. Now, are these players really good enough for this level? I'm not sure just yet, but with their ages and the aim of this save, we've got to give them the chance to grow now so they can develop as players. But one issue we're finding is that because of the weakness in the squad, a lot of our best players are eventually gonna want out. I've played saves like this before, and what tends to happen is someone like Julian Masson here is clearly one of our best players, but because we can't buy anyone else, we can't strengthen the rest of the team unless we rely on a good intake, and therefore it leads to the opportunities where the team can be nowhere near his level and he'll want to leave the club. And the same goes for the youngsters too. I'm delighted with the production of players like this in Kuki, but we might have to accept that one day he might want to leave. He's clearly going to be way too good for everyone else in this squad, and if we can't get good intakes to keep improving the problem areas in the team, we could see these players quickly outgrow us. But of course, whilst we can't make transfers, we can rely on our youth intakes each season, and this year, I think it's safe to say we've been blessed. But before we see which new gens have came through, if you are enjoying this video up to this point, if you're still watching, smash that like button for me. It goes a long way into helping the videos, and make sure you subscribe too. If you're in this percentage of people, I don't know what side it's going to be, that are watching watching but aren't subscribed, do it. Please do it. We could get very close to 50k subs, and comment down below what kind of rebuild you want to see next. Always great to get involved with you guys. But let's take a look at the players who have came through this year, and it's safe to say we've got some stars. Two standout players last year have been followed this year by the production of Elliot Balaziu, who is a 16-year-old wide player who can also play through the middle. Alexis Dumont needs some growth but could eventually be a good level centre-back. This 17-year-old Norwegian Falk Hagen came through our academy last season and has continued to develop to the point where he's now considered good enough to maybe make the first team. And there's another young defender with lots of potential by the name of Andre Diaz. So we have got players coming through, and hopefully that will mean in our next season we'll be predicted to do a little bit better as these youngsters develop and the older heads move on. And now, as we head into our third year as manager and our second year in this second division, you can see that we have got a little bit better. We're predicted 13th place, a similar position to last time, but the odds of us winning the title have gone up, and I guess that's because of our player development. But speaking of development, we should highlight a couple of players. Mohamed Raib is continuing to develop in that right back spot and is now considered one of our best, valued at 5 million. He has got a big future, I'm sure. And Pelissard in the middle of the park, whilst I might have wrote him off in the earlier seasons, is continuing to grow and might just have the potential to get to a Ligue level, even if he is only valued at £500,000. But this is our team ready to go. We didn't really lose anyone in this window of note, just a few of the academy players that we've let go. And if we have a look at the squad now, by age, you're seeing that a lot of them are our academy products. All of these guys down are going to be from the academy. There's only a few people left that aren't that, and some of them are our key players. So as they go on, we need to make sure we've got players coming through to replace them. But with our third year now as manager, I'd love if these players could kick on and take us to Ligue 1, else we might be here a while. And I can't lie, 3 years in, and I feel like instead of recording on this chair, I should probably get some kind of bed to lie down in, because this is going to take a lot longer than I thought it might do. Our team, it's not been great again. It was a little bit hit and miss, losing some games like against Paris FC, whilst at the same time in other matches we looked pretty good and managed to get a few wins here and there. And come the final day of the season, we were in and around the playoff places. The only thing we needed to do was to get a victory on the final day of the season away to Le Mans FC, a team predicted relegation. So explain to me why then, when we played them, we went and lost 4-1, didn't make a promotion spot, and I think that's just really showing how the inexperience of our young players is affecting this team as a whole, because while some of the attackers were doing well, we were letting in too many goals. Now, the best player this season was one of our most experienced in Julian Masson, who has just been amazing in this whole rebuild so far, and one of the best midfielders in this division for sure. And we've also seen Samir Kuki coming this season and managed to break his record from last year, scoring 20 league goals, a brilliant average match rating, but is now wanted by pretty much every club under the sun, and only valued at a few million quid, which is bonkers for how good this guy is. Outside of that though, there was no real super noticeable performer, but when it comes to our high potential players, they are all developing to a huge level. Take Mohamed Raib, for example, who now wants to move to a club with a stronger squad. There you go, exactly what I said would happen at some point. You can see why this guy is good enough for a top level team, and he's stuck here with Socheux in the second tier. Thankfully, still a couple years in his contract, we might be able to get some good young players in from our intakes and keep him around, but he's developing well alongside Kuki, you've met, and Belizu managed to get some football this season too. Coming in from our youth academy, he's managed to progress, whilst Pierre Sanchez, being here from the start, he's still considered one of our best young players, but for me, I mean, it's not quite working for him, is it? He's still not really turning into anything special, and that is a bit of a worry. But of course, with every year, there's another intake, and this year's one might actually prove to be a golden generation. We've had some real luck so far, and this year might be my favourite yet. But if you're enjoying this rebuild and you'd like to give it a go yourself, I'll be putting all of the save files over for you guys on Patreon. Over there, you also get the benefits of watching these videos early and ad-free, as well as voting for rebuilds that you want to see in the future. And even when we do stuff like this down the line, I want to put your guys' Patreon's names on the new gens so you can see yourself in the game. Now, it does really help support me as a creator too, helps pay for the editor, the thumbnail designer for these videos to make the content better for you guys. So if you've ever thought about supporting me, or you like the sound of any of them benefits, check out the Patreon, linked in the description. But with that being said, let's check out our new intake of players and how we're expected to do this year. Well, the first breakout star that's going to be joining our lineups in our first team squad this season is Mohamed Kouakou, who is a 15-year-old French winger who might not be good right now, but has the potential to go to the top. The highest rated prospect from this academy burst was Ludovic Gerardin, who is a 16-year-old central midfielder who the game thinks is going to be the best of all of them, but I think there's someone else who will be. And that is 16-year-old keeper Samuel Firmin Tisserand, who I am going to say now, I'm sticking him in the goal, and I'm going to tell the assistants to play him as often as possible, because I feel like this is a player that could go to the very top. Great attributes at 16 for a young goalkeeper, and whilst he does have big injury proneness issues and the fact that he is inconsistent, I think he could become world class, genuinely do, and I think he's the first one that I really would say he might be here for the whole thing when we eventually, hopefully, win Ligue 1. And there was no sales this window, just a few players being released, so at this stage there's only, 4 players left who aren't academy graduates. The rest are all 21-year-olds and under, most of them being teenagers. I've bought a big bunch through with a promising batch from the season before into the first team now, so the likes of Folkhagen are going to be playing first team football, as well as Andre Diaz, who's had some time to grow in the academy, but now we need them. It's not that I want to get them in the team to develop them, we actually need them to fill up spaces of the squad as well. So the pressure is on these youngsters, especially with the league prediction, because slowly but surely they're starting to recognise our team is getting better and being able to compete near the top. Now, I know it says we're predicted middle of the park, but in Football Manager terms, that probably means we can finish about 6th or 5th. And that means we'd have at least some chance of promotion. So we're going to go all out, and hopefully in our 4th year here, we can actually crack Ligue 1 and get into the big time to face PSG. And after 3 cracks at trying to get out of Ligue 2, this year has been a brilliant season, but also this came with its fair share of issues too. Come the end of the season, we were in a great position with a chance to get automatically promoted in the 2nd spot in the league. We just had to beat Red Star, and we managed to go 1 up through Fofana. And it wasn't long before we built on that lead, as Mendes de Silva found Gomel in the area, and of course it was Kuki at close range to head home. Red Star got back in the game through the penalty spot despite our young goalkeeper coming close, but with our fans on the edge of their seat hoping we'd get the win, Gomel, with another cross into the area, found Kuki, who scored, and he made sure that this season we were getting promoted. But all of the spotlight being on him and some of our other star youngsters has also caused some problems. Because yes, great, we have gone up to Ligue 1, we'll be playing Ligue 1 football, and I was hoping that would be enough to appease a lot of the players in our squad that were starting to get unhappy with their position here. We've managed to get there by 3 points, not a title victory, but we have secured that promotion spot. But with the added ability that has been shown by players like Kuki, it's attracted interest. I mean, Chelsea and Manchester United want him. He should be valued at way more than the money shown here. It's just because we're a 2nd tier side that don't have the funds to hang on to a player like this. But yeah, he wants to move to a club with a stronger squad, so that's issue number 1. And then there's Mohamed Rahib, who also wants to leave the club. He's apparently wants to move to a club with a stronger squad. Lorient and Reims are interested, and with only 1 year on his deal and already an international, considered way too good for us. We're probably going to have to think about selling him this window, and maybe we can use them funds to improve the facilities at the club. They're currently in a very good place. We've managed to get the academy coaching and youth recruitment to a top level. We're also trying to improve the training and new facilities, but the board are a little bit reluctant with the money at the club right now. The club is currently in debt because we haven't really sold anyone of note, even though we haven't spent anything, so maybe making a big sale at some point might be the right idea. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of interest in our players, because not only have Kuki and Raib done well, we've also seen a great season from Pelissard, who's continued to grow in the middle of the pitch, and Julian Masson scored 15 from the centre of the pitch. He is definitely the player of the rebuild so far. Despite all the new gens coming through, he's holding his own. And speaking of holding his own, the young goalkeeper Samuel Firmin Tisserand came in, and he has managed to do a great job between the sticks. He got a 6.96 rating, conceded less than a goal a game, which is not bad for a keeper that is still so young and already capped for the under-19 French team. But now with our team heading into Ligue 1, we need a new set of youth intake coming through, a new batch of youngsters to help bolster this squad and just keep us in the division to eventually challenge PSG. But it hasn't been a good youth intake at all, bar one. You see, most of the players we've produced have been pretty poor this year, but the one standout player, I mean the only standout player, is Nikola Kovacevic, who's 15 years of age and is not yet ready for the first team by any stretch, but he's definitely one to keep an eye on because this is the highest valuation of any player to have came out of our academy straight away. We've had players that are worth more having developed, but to come in instantly and be worth this much money, it's going to be a hard job to keep hold of him, but if we can and we can develop him a little bit, he's definitely going to be a first team star. But with our team heading into Ligue 1, what exactly are the chances that we actually stay in the division? Well, we're predicted to finish rock bottom, and not just rock bottom. In fact, Lorient they're predicted 17th, and they've got 201 odds of winning the title. Ours are at 450 to 1. We could replay this season 450 times, and only one of them will be expected to win the title. PSG, meanwhile, I mean, I'm assuming they've been dominating for this whole time. If we have a look at their recent seasons, they've won it, they've won it, they've won it, they've won it, all by a clear margin since the very beginning. But my main issue right now is those players that want out. I mean, Kuki's here until 2030, so we've still got another 3 seasons of him in theory. Mohamed Raib, though, only has a year left on his deal. That will expire at the end of this season, but I don't really want to sell him. I think I'm going to take the chance of keeping him in the squad, hoping everyone else develops, and then in turn, he'll think the squad is better and might consider staying. I mean, we've got some good youngsters coming through. If you can just wait for them to develop, we could see him potentially change his mind. I mean, Beliazu looks like he could be a very good player, already 3.5 stars. Andre Diaz is a 3-star centre-back at this stage. We're going to go for it. I have actually promoted Nikola Kovacevic to the first team. I said I was going to keep him in the youth levels, but we're giving it a shot. The reason being, if you have a look at the striker position, he's actually considered our 3rd best forward, and one of the players listed is a winger, so he's going to get game time. At 15, he'll be getting football, not necessarily because he's ready, but because our squad is so weak. So whether we're going to stay up this season, it's a big question. We'll give it our best shot, but let's see what we can do in our first year in Ligue 1. So, 5 years in at Sochaux, we've managed to produce a squad of youngsters to try and take on Ligue 1, but this season, it wasn't pretty. The team we're trying to topple in this division, PSG, absolutely ripped us apart. They didn't just score 1, 2 or 3 goals, they beat us 4-0. But it wasn't just the mighty PSG that were beating us. Even teams like Troyes, who were with us in the early divisions, scored 5 past us. And if it wasn't for the odd victory, like when we randomly pulled out a 4-0 brilliant win away against Marseille, we would have really struggled this year. But thankfully, them random wins, all 8 of them, as you can see, a lot of them coming against poor teams, and 7 draws, despite 19 losses and a minus 21 goal difference, we've stayed up. Now, I think it's really because Lorient, Toulouse and Metz were so bad compared to us, but us and Troyes were very close to being dragged down. Meanwhile, PSG have got nearly 90 points, nearly triple what we achieved this year, so we are a long way off them, but at least we've stayed up in the first division. But I said there were some issues with this season, the first being that it wasn't very fun and we nearly went down, but the second is one of our stars is gone. Oh, and not just gone, by the way. Mohamed Raib clearly did not get the memo about what we're trying to do in this rebuild, because he's decided to join PSG at the end of his contract for totally free. We'll be losing our best fullback, our best player at the club pretty much, and he's going to our biggest rivals, a team we're trying to topple. So I hope it goes terribly wrong for him, and unless at some point we're able to bring him back in the transfer windows, I mean, it's goodbye to Rahib, and it's not a nice one either. He's going to our rivals. But the fact we stayed up is a big deal, because with the nature of this rebuild, outside of losing our stars, we should get better year on year as our players that are very young continue to develop. Take Kuki, for example, now, who for me, he's got to be one of the world's best. I mean, he's considered a wonder kid, so yeah, one of the world's best youngsters. He definitely is. He's wanted by Lens, but he has got, another couple of seasons on his contract just yet, so he'll manage to be here for a few seasons for now. Our biggest developers this year, though, was certainly the young goalkeeper, Tisserand, who is now looking like an actual Ligue 1 level option, and Beliazu, who is quickly becoming one of my favourite players in this squad with his ability to play in a bunch of different positions at a high level, and still with a chance to get better yet at 19. But one player we should mention is the youngster, the Serbian 16-year-old Kovacevic, who of course we promoted to the first team, and he played 11 times, 2 starts, scored 2 goals, and was generally awful, but just because of his potential, he's already valued at 70 million. Now that tells me, under the hood of Football Manager, this guy must have the potential to be a world-class player. Now he's wanted on loan by a few clubs, we'll consider that for sure. But now as we head into our second season in Ligue 1, not being able to buy any players, we've got to hope our next youth intake is good. And spoiler alert, I've had a look, there's a couple of gems in there. I built it up now, so let's show you the 2 youngsters I've got big hopes for. The first one is Matteo Julien, who's a 15-year-old French midfielder who realistically at a Ligue 1 level won't be ready for a few years. It's not like in the 3rd and 2nd tier where we can just chuck him in and let him play. He can't do that just yet. He is physically not good enough, technically and mentally not good enough also, but there is the potential here of a very good player. And the same goes for Gaëtan Leymery, who actually might be someone that we have to promote sooner rather than later, purely because of our weakness at centre-back. He's nowhere near good enough yet, but has big potential. And there's also this fullback, Antoine Harler, who's came through at the right time. With Rahib leaving, there is now a space in that position. I'm not quite sure he's going to be the same player. He doesn't give me the same vibes that he will be. But again, he's another one that's valued quite highly at a young age. So maybe, just maybe, this guy's got a big future ahead of him. We'll give him a chance when the time comes, but that's another good new gem through the door. But despite all of that, our team has apparently got worse. Of course, losing Rahib has played a part, but we are predicted to finish 18th again, this time with 500 to 1 odds of winning the title, making it even less than before. I think for right now, the aim of the game has got to be stability. Keep staying in Ligue, earn a bit of money to improve the facilities, improve the club, eventually have some more players come through to make the squad generally better, and then maybe this time we'll be able to keep hold of our stars, but only time will tell. First job, stay up again. And whilst a lot of this rebuild so far has been doom and gloom, I've got to say this season, I think we're going to talk about it pretty positively because we had some great moments. Arguably our best result and our best game of the season came at home against Monaco, the Champions League level side, eventually fell to us as Kuki scored 2 in a 3-2 victory. We managed to dispatch Nice as well with a single goal giving us the win, coming from the young Serbian Kovacevic. And the team predicted to come second this year in Lens faced us at their stadium and were defeated by a player who we've had since the 3rd tier in Pelissard. And look, we are getting nowhere near PSG still. They are a significant distance ahead of us, but to finish in 11th place with the same amount of wins as the same amount of losses, I'm definitely taking. It's still a negative goal difference, but we have seen a great season from Kuki, who again, we're getting to the point now he's got 1 year left on his deal, wanted by Dortmund and Bayern Munich, valued at 60 million. He might be the first player that we actually have to let go because I don't see us convincing him to stay. He is still far too good for us. Now, he was our best performer, but Julian Mason was also very good for us, and the young keeper, Firmin Tesserand, he's developed massively to the point where, again, we've got a player who wants to move to a club with a stronger squad. It's going to keep happening. We're going to keep having to face it, but I guess it's just the issue that we're going to have to deal with until we eventually get enough good players come through. Speaking of good players coming through though, Kovacevic, now 17, had a great year. 12 goals in Ligue 1 at such a young age. He's got a big future ahead of him and is continuing to grow. So what are we now? Season 7, relying on these youth intakes at this point. Before I show you who we've got this year, last time I'll ask you, if you are enjoying the video, smash the like button and subscribe too. If we can reach 50k subs soon, that'll be amazing. But this rebuild has taken so long, so much effort into it, so if you could smash the like button to get it out to as many people as possible, I'll be very grateful. But speaking of grateful, pretty grateful for this youth intake. As coming through this time around, we have had Leo Tissier, who is a right back. We keep getting the right backs coming through. 15 years of age, predicted to have big potential and valued at 10 million. So we keep the good young players coming through. Haven't really had a fully dud year yet. I'm also keeping my eye on this guy. Not quite ready just yet, but 15-year-old Ricardo Fontaine is another one of those highly valued youngsters. A Madagascan potential international will be really cool to have, who can play up front and on the left, but I might train him as a left winger, so we have someone coming through there, whilst Kovacevic comes through as a striker. But speaking of Kovacevic, now valued at 80 million, he is the best striker at the club. We've got him here for another few years, but you might wonder, what happened to Kuki? How is he not the best striker at the club? Well, for the first time, we have lost a star player for a fee. Now, Rahib is out there at PSG, killing it at right back, but Kuki, age 21, has moved to Lens, which I didn't really understand. They've offered him a mega deal, but there's better places he could have gone. He's valued at 150 million now. We sold him for 70 million with a year left on his deal. It's not a bad transfer at all, actually. I'll definitely take it. We lose a brilliant goal scorer. The 6'2" forward is out the door. An academy player selling for 70 million, and that's helped the club massively. Because now we're considered a rich club with a great reputation and finances to back it up. A 70 million pound balance will mean that over time we can improve the stadium and all of our facilities. We've got another player that we can add to that list of people that want to leave, because once more, one of our best wants to go in Belaziu. He wants to leave to go to a stronger squad, as we've seen with Firmin Tisserand as well. And if we have a look, they are the two best players in the whole team. Close to them is Kovacevic, who obviously we know, and Andre Diaz, a centre-back, is developing quite nicely into our best centre-back product yet, but he's still not exactly any kind of world-class talent for sure. Julian Masson is still here, age 32. One I've really got my eye on this year. I'm going to ask Julian to play as many games as possible in that lower role in our midfield to develop and hopefully become one of our best midfielders. I see the vision with him. He's got technique, vision and passing. I think he could be great in either-footed midfielder. He just needs that time to grow. If we go into this season though, I mean, he's not really going to have much time to chill on the ball. We're still expected to get relegated, 500 to 1 odds. Meanwhile, PSG have pretty much got all the best players in the league. It's going to be nearly impossible to ever topple these guys without making a sign-in. But hey-ho, we've been getting better and better year on out. Maybe this time round we can, I don't know, get a European spot. Now, I half joked at the start of this season about making a European push. I thought our players might be capable of it, but not really. But I think they were listening to me when I said it. Because we took on Lyon and managed to beat them with Kovacevic on the score sheet. And the wins kept coming, this time, guess who? Kovacevic scoring. And we even managed to beat the other wonderkid team in the league as we dispatched Strasbourg, Blue Coast side, falling to the sword of guess who? Nikola Kovacevic. And almost single-handedly, that young Serbian has delivered us a European spot. 6th place in the league. We are still miles away from PSG, who only lost one game all year to Paris FC. Congrats to them. We still haven't beat them. We still lost 13 games this year, but 53 points, positive goal difference, and the first time we hit a European spot with a team that we took over in the 3rd tier. But this is what we're dealing with. PSG dominance, but it is Kovacevic is the man of the moment. This guy is insanely good. 23 goals at the age of 18 in the league. We've still got him for another couple of years, but what a star he is. And I say what a star he is because it is basically a one-man show. The only person to hit a 7 average match rating nearly outside of that was our goalkeeper, keeping us in a lot of games. But again, another one wants to move to a club with a stronger squad. We get it. We know what they're going to say at this point. But it's great to see the player we were looking to develop in the middle of the pitch in Julian has reached a new level and is considered good enough for our first team now. But now we are a European side and we need a youth intake to help get to the point where we have a squad to compete in these competitions. And just when we needed our best youth intake yet, I think we've probably got our worst one so far. The only notable player to come through this year was Mark Valade, a 16-year-old goalkeeper who, yes, could be something, but isn't really of note right now. But seeing as we haven't done it for a while, it's probably a good time to introduce you to what is currently our best 11, which features Tisserand in goal. Feel free to pause it and see how these players are developed, but Patricio is still here at fullback, obviously displaced by Rahib for a season or so. He is now back as our starting fullback, despite being with us in the 3rd tier. Andre Diaz is a 20-year-old French centre-back who is alongside Leymery, an 18-year-old who we're trying to develop in that position. Alexis Dumont's an interesting one. Originally came through as a centre-back, but we've trained him into that left-back spot because we've had no one really come through. An abundance of right-backs, but not lefts. We've then got Julian alongside Pelissard, still here from our first year in the midfield alongside Masson, again someone that we've had from the very start, but this looks like he's going to be running into his last few seasons now with his contract nearly up. We've then got Folkhagen, the Norwegian, who is now 22 and a good wing option. On the left we're seeing Belaziu. He's a real high quality player at this point and is definitely one of our best and would be if it wasn't for Kovacevic, who has also hit that thing of wanting to move to a club with a stronger squad. It's going to be really annoying in this rebuild as we keep losing players. I don't know how long this is going to go on for, but it's a lot harder to develop when you're in Ligue and you're not really getting the chance to play against easy teams and develop a little bit. We are having pretty much cup finals every single match, and we're still predicted to finish rock bottom. Everything we've done is obviously not being recognised by the game. They don't think we're a good team, so let's prove them wrong again and hopefully stay in Europe, maybe get a little bit closer than 40 points away from PSG. And this season, I mean, it was a little bit bonkers. It was our first foray into European football with a squad that is supposedly not even good enough to stay in Ligue 1, but we've been proving people wrong, and we kept doing it in the Europa League. In the round of 16, we were certainly not favourites coming up against Fenerbahce, but we managed to beat them by 1 goal, coming in the first minute of a match, and guess who scored it? Of course, it was Kovacevic. And whilst we did eventually lose 7-3 to Napoli in the quarter-final, it was a very good performance in the cup competition that showed me this team could actually start competing with the best. And we proved that in Ligue 1 as well. We beat Lille, we beat Lyon, but this season, the best result of all came against PSG, as we faced them at their stadium, having never beat them before, and we went 1-0 up. They don't even know that they're the rivals of this rebuild for us yet, but we're about to show them that we are coming for them, as Folkhagen again scored to make it 2. Now in typical PSG fashion, they got back in the game through a penalty from Kvaratskhelia, but we weren't giving in, and a Kovacevic corner found Sanchez with us since the 3rd tier. He was scoring now against PSG, and despite another goal from Paris, as the time was running out, Nuno Mendes in the area, slotting it through, we managed to beat them 3-2, and that was just one sign of how well we did this year, because we recorded our best position yet. Now we're a distance away and they might not hear us, but we are telling PSG we are coming for you. 75 goal difference from them and 3 losses, then there's us with our 20 wins and 67 points, still a mile away, But we are there in second place. Kovacevic was the main reason for that. Now with a year left on his deal and valued at 100 million, he's wanted by Bayern. And at this point, we're probably going to have to resign to selling him too. He had the most assists in the league as well, pretty much. And there's a couple of players in the academy ready to come through. I mean, Ricardo Fontaine, the Madagascan at 17 years of age, looks to be a good option now, might be ready for the first team. And the youth intake has produced another great young star. Maxime Chauvel, to me, is one that could make that first team. I'm hoping for it, but that'll be years down the line yet. Who knows? Maybe next season we win it and we never see these players develop, but I mean, we've got to learn what to do with Kovacevic now. Do we sell him? Do we keep him? Can we hang on? I'm going to do everything I can. Now with Kovacevic this season, we were between a rock and a hard place. I've managed to extend the deals of some players, but he was just not negotiating, and with a year left, we had to cut our losses. And unfortunately, what is probably one of the best strikers in the world has left Sochaux. He's going to play for Napoli out in Italy, of course, for 84 million, rising to 94, nearly a £100 million deal. I mean, it's crazy money for us, but it is a huge loss. Obviously, we can't sign anyone in his place. I'm trying to maybe move the system around to do a little bit better for us, but we'll see how that goes. Fontaine is apparently now the best striker, so the Madagascan is going to get his chance. Good luck to him. Meanwhile, I'm still trying to deal with a few issues. Belsiu's been transfer listed by request, although I'm not selling him. He just wants to leave to play for a better club. Andre Diaz, another one of our better players, wants to leave to play for a better club. And of course, we've got Tisserand, who, believe it or not, wants to move to a club with a stronger squad. This is nearly impossible, and we're still predicted to go down in last place despite finishing second last year. We're going to be playing Champions League football now. We're still trying to topple PSG with a bunch of players at one out. This is an absolute nightmare so far. Anytime we get someone good, they leave. But maybe this year we'll shock ourselves and do way better, win the title, and we can call it a day. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and say we went out and won the Champions League. We were great. We're a fantastic side, because no. Just like the French Cup, we got knocked out of the Champions League at the first time of asking, but for the first time in this rebuild, we have won some kind of major silverware. Yes, I'm calling it major silverware. The pre-season Trophée de Champion, we beat PSG, and it's Volkhagen, who is the nemesis of them, who scored the winner to make sure that we won that competition. So we won a trophy, but we were winning plenty of games in the league, and whilst it wasn't as good as last season in terms of a league finish, I think we've got to be delighted again, because we come out in third place, 64 points, but only 6 losses this year. We are becoming harder to beat, which is something that I'm happy with. I just wish we'd score more, because the amount of games that we drew has really bothered me there, to be perfectly honest with you. But we finished a bit below Lyon. We're slowly closing in on PSG, who have only lost 1 game this season. That's how good these guys are. We drew against them when they came to our stadium, but we are definitely missing Kovacevic. His goals would have made the difference in these matches, maybe turned a few of them draws into wins, and who knows where we could have finished. I'm sure he's out there smashing it for Napoli. Thankfully, the Madagascan Fontaine has came out of nowhere and really said, you know what, I'm the new striker. He scored 16 goals, and I guess he's the next one in the pipeline of players that will eventually want to leave us. I'm trying to strap them down for as long contracts as I can, but I'm in a bit of a pickle now, because the stage that we're at this point, we've got decent players in every area of the pitch. If you have a look, we've got nice players on the wing. In the midfield, it's fairly well balanced, but when it comes to the dev centre and the under-19s, I mean, there's guys coming through, but are any of them going to make an impact just now? Probably not. Probably not for another 3 or 4 years before they actually get up to Ligue quality. Again, it's not like the lower leagues where we can push them in, so the youth intakes aren't really cutting it right now. Our team's not exactly cutting it too, but being a group of youngsters, they can get better, and maybe next year we'll make a bigger push. We just need something, a change of system, a player to really break through. What we don't need is more of our players trying to leave. And I said I didn't want our players to leave, but we have let go of one player by choice, actually, in Pierre Sanchez. And I would just skip over it, but I've got to give him a shout out from being here since the very start, going all the way with us. But as the years have gone on, he's played less. Only 4 appearances last season as those young centre-backs come through and phase him out. And now he's going to the second tier, to Nancy, for 500k. I mean, this is a team not even expected to do well in the second tier, so it shows you the kind of players we've been working with in this save. Some other players leave, but no one really of note, mainly just loans. But I'm still trapped in this issue of players wanting to go. Our goalkeeper's got 1 year left in his deal and wants out. Andre Diaz is another one that wants to go. And I should also note, it is going to be the last season now for Julian Masson, who has been the legend of this save. He wants out at the end of his contract to retire, but I'm going to keep him around as a staff member for sure, but we are losing his ability in the middle of the pitch. In fact, in sad fashion, he no longer even makes our best 11. Currently, that features pretty much all the players he used to, other than Tissier coming in as our best right back. We also see Belazieux come into that midfield role, where now on the left is Fontaine, the young Madagascan who is now representing France. Oh, that's annoying. He should have stayed with Madagascar, that would have been cool. But our best striker is now this guy, Kabamba, an 18-year-old that's came through. It's definitely not good enough, but we're now 10 seasons into this rebuild, the longest one in the history of anything I've done on this channel, so maybe this year will be the one and we can finally finish it and topple PSG. And honestly, at this point, I'm getting hot, I'm getting bothered, I'm getting annoyed because this rebuild, it's so tough. But there was one shining light this season, I suppose, that we can take away as a final big well done for our club. And that was in the Champions League, where we played Leipzig in the league phase, and we got our first Champions League win. Was it just one goal? No, we managed to score two as Kambamba scored his second of the game. And we finished it off in style as Demont played through Fontaine into the area and Dornier scored to make it 3. So we won a Champions League game in the league phase. We still got knocked out, mind you. And we did great in the league as well. It was a second place finish, and you might wonder why I'm annoyed. And it's because PSG, whilst we are getting better, they are too. They can buy any player they want in the world, and they've just gone unbeaten. 0 losses all season. We are 19 points behind them, but how can you compete with a team that draws 6, loses none, with 78 goal difference and 2 of their best players being top goal scorers? We're getting closer, but we're still nowhere near. What I am seeing, though, is the league is becoming a lot more competitive. Sochaux, Lens, Marseille, Monaco, we're all in this bracket now of being able to get in the high ends, but PSG are just so far ahead of us, it's unreal, really. We can't compete with them at this stage. But my biggest issue is in goal, where despite being a French international now and not having a contract lined up despite it expiring in a month, Tisserand is still refusing to sign a deal. He wants to play for a bigger club, but no one wants him. No one's willing to give him a contract, yet he won't stay here. I don't understand it. It's a bit of a fault of the FM system. I don't think he realises how well we're doing right now, and he wants out of the door. So we're going to lose our best goalkeeper and a French international, our 4th real star player leaving. The only real youngster I can see breaking into the first team is Chauvel, who is probably now about ready at 17 to come into Ligue and football, but it's still going to be tough for him. But this is feeling impossible at this stage. We really need a great season. We need something to happen to kick us on. We can't go out and buy players. I can't even buy some of the new gens that we've sold back because none of them want to join us still. We're still not considered good enough. I don't know how long this is going to go on for, but we're going to keep trying. Now, if it's any consolation, we've at least got the best odds we've ever had, 350 to 1 odds of winning the league. Meanwhile, Tisserand has decided he wanted to join a bigger club with a better squad, and he's ended up at Al Hazem in Saudi Arabia on 50 grand a week. I could have offered him that, so you know what? I don't like this guy. I've given him as many chances as possible, developed him from young, and now he wants to go. He was injury prone a lot of the time too, not to start cussing him out and calling him out, but he was never really that great, so jog on, get out. The goalkeeper that I'm going to give the chance to, though, because we haven't really got anyone else, is Marc Valade, a 19-year-old keeper who is a French under-21 international, so maybe can get to the same level as Tisserand, but you're going right in the net, despite never really having a chance before. But wait a second, because there's someone that I've not shown you, who we've had for a couple of seasons and has been playing a bit part in the squad. He was never originally going to be world-class, but he started to kick on a little bit, and it's got to the point now where he's considered good enough for the first team. It's Djibril Dornier, a 17-year-old under-21 French international who can play on the left but can also play up front. Now, he's the same as Kovacevic, the first time we've had someone valued so highly, so I'm pinning a lot of hopes of this rebuild on him. Whenever he kicks into gear could be the moment that we do something special, because actually, looking at the team now, we are stacked in so many areas. I mean, Belazieux, Pelissard, Julien. It's a midfield I like. I like our attack as well. I like our defence. I actually think we're in a good place. If we still had our goalkeeper and maybe one of those players that we sold, maybe Rahib at right back, I think we could genuinely have given the league a crack at this point. But here we go. Season 11 at this point now. Maybe this one will be the time we do it. And this rebuild has had so many storylines going on throughout it, from us getting promoted to PSG getting stronger and all our best players leaving, and it's felt pretty much impossible. But this year, I mean, there's been some crazy developments. Now, personally, I felt like something special was happening when we faced off against PSG at our stadium, and we managed to beat them not just 1-0, but 5-2. And that wasn't just a fluke either. PSG were really off the ball this season. I don't know what happened that's made them so different, but they were not on the ball. And actually, the league title was between us and Marseille, and going into the last few games of the season, either one of us could win. And with us in the lead and a month to go, a 2-0 loss to Strasbourg was a setback, but it was made worse when we followed up by drawing against Le Havre, and then a draw against Lyon to lose more points, and to pretty much complete the bottle, we had Lyon draw against us as well. Now with 2 games to go, we did manage to beat Rennes, but heading into the last game of the season, we were trailing in the league. After basically having it done and dusted, we collapsed at the last minute, and it came down to the final match with Marseille ahead of us, and us needing them to lose and us to win. The only issue was, we were playing Marseille. So the winner of this game would be the team to win the league title, to topple PSG, and after 17 minutes, we did the business at home. Volkhagen getting an early goal, and I was hoping that would be enough, but Marseille weren't playing around either. They wanted the title, and Socheux scored a brilliant goal. So into the second half we went with the scores level, and it was Volkhagen with another goal. Coming through as a youngster, this guy's now in his late 20s. And that's probably the most important goal he'll ever score to put us 2-1 up, but to complete the deal, there was only one man to do it. The star of this season, Dornier, tapping it into an empty net, and he won the title for FC Socheux. I couldn't believe it. Was it us? Was it PSG failing? Well, to let you know, the game told me it was the lowest points total of any team to win the league, so that kind of tells you something. But with 77 points, we have won the league title. Beating Marseille, beating PSG, there was only 7 points between us and 4th. It was a really close season. It was us with our young squad, and it all came down to this man, Dornier, who stepped up and scored 16 goals, but also got 10 assists in only 28 games. He was incredible for an 18-year-old and has done wonders for us this year. And look at the squad we've built. From minute one, we've been developing these talents, and they've had great seasons all around. Fontaine was excellent off the left, the former Madagascan international. Then Fabian Volkhagen, now 26, his best season. Belziu did great as well and is now decided to stick around for another few years, while Chauvel is a brilliant midfielder at 18 who's only going to get better and better. Julian as well at the base of the midfield. These guys have all kicked in, all of the players on the bench as well. We have got the job done. If you have a look at the squad, not only did we only play youth players from early on, we have finished with every single player being an academy homegrown product from minute one. Only Pelissard is a player that's old here. He's 30, but he's been here since the very beginning, dragging us eventually to this title. Before we finish, though, a quick check of some legends. Masson is an assistant manager now for under-19s. Tisserand stayed in Saudi Arabia whilst Rahib made a move to Bayern. Nikola Kovacevic, meanwhile, produced in our academy, is now the best striker in the world and got signed for Real Madrid for 135 mil, so what a player we produced there. But if you continue to save on Patreon, now that you've won the league, you need to push for the Champions League, and you have got a player returning. Kuki will be coming back to the club. His transfer to Lens did not work out, and I've agreed a deal worth around 50 million to bring him back to the team and bring one of our youth academy players back. But by the end of this rebuild, we are a 4-star reputation club. There is a new stadium in the works that will land in 2035 with an extra 14,000 capacity. We can then compete with the big teams in France. We've got exceptional facilities as well, and I've completed the hardest rebuild I've ever attempted. It's blown my head. I don't want to do any more. We've finally done it. Thank you for watching. Like the video if you've enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.